Greetings, Jay Stone here, Cap and Ball Fanatic channel. Welcome back, or welcome in for the first time. You know, I get a lot of questions about loading cap and ball revolvers. And I know there's been other videos made, but I want to do a video today that sort of brings all of the issues and stuff involved in loading a cap and ball revolver all onto one video. Now, I realize this is going to be a video pointed mainly towards new shooters, but I still watch these loading videos by others, and I still think about it because you never know when you can learn something. So I hope that you enjoy today's video on loading and firing a cap and ball revolver. Let's get started. Okay, so in today's demonstration, I'm going to be demonstrating on one of my 1851 Navies with the ivory grips. It's engraved, as you can see. It's a beautiful gun. I call it my Wild Bill Special. I featured this on an earlier video. Okay, so here's what we do to start. Gun's on full. The hammer's down now. We'll put this on half cock so that our barrel can spin. Okay, and then we're going to set it down in this. I set mine in a loading lever. Some people will load it this way. Some people will do it out of hand. I'm not that coordinated. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Start with my powder measure. When I shoot an 1851 Navy, I shoot 20 grains of powder. So let's load this up and get going. Now, I apologize for the awkward camera angle here. I'm doing the best I can to watch the camera and watch my powder at the same time. So let's pour in our powder. Okay, we got that in there. We'll set that down. We'll close the lid and knock off the difference. We've got our powder. We'll go around to our first open cylinder and we'll pour in our powder. Just like that. Okay, then we'll take a lubed wad. Now, I buy these from Track of the Wolf. It's a brand called Eastern Maine. I used to make them, but I buy them now from the Eastern Maine brand because they come for like $6 per 100 if you buy them in bags of 500. So for 33 bucks, I'm getting 500 of these things, and it's almost as cheap as it is for me to make them. So we take this wad. Now, let's remember, this wad doesn't stop chain fires in the front. It helps keep the fouling soft in your barrel and at the end of your cylinder so that you can continue to shoot and not have your gun foul up and stop working. So we'll take this. We want to get it started as straight as we can on the top. We get it just started down there enough so that you can see that the wad is right there. I'll move this over here so that you can see what that looks like. Okay, then we take our round ball. I use 380 round balls as opposed to 375s. I like the seal that these give on my 36 calibers better than the 375s. I cast these at home. There's a flat spot on the top, which is the sprue, where it's where you cut it off from the mold. You take this, you put it down inside the chamber and rest it on top so that sprue is sticking up, if you can see that. Then we undo the loading lever. Cycle this underneath so that it's straight underneath the loading lever, and then we just push it home. And then you can see, if I can get that out of there, you can see that this cuts a nice lead ring. And that solid lead ring tells me that I have an appropriate seal on the front of the chamber so that sparks can't get down in there and cause more than one cylinder to go off at the same time, a chain fire. All right, so let's do one more while I have you here. Take our measure, pour in our powder, set that down, close the top. We'll go to the second cylinder. We'll pour this in. All right, we'll take our wad. Again, we'll get it started over the top. Get it in there as flat as we can. We'll take our round ball, get that flat spot on top, push it down a little bit so it's seated. And then I have to pick this up to to get it around. We'll get it around so that it centers under the loading lever, and then we just ram it home. And that's all there is to it. Now, a couple little tips. I get these questions. I am not somebody that puts all my powder in, and then all my wads in, and then all my balls in. I do one chamber at a time because I'm kind of thick-headed sometimes, and I want to make sure I get all my pieces in there. I do that, and the other thing is, and that's what, the other thing that I don't do is I don't like to have conversation with people while I'm loading, because more than once I forgot to put in powder, thought I did, got to talking to somebody, turned back around, stuck the ball down inside of there with the wad, realized there was no powder, and that's what's called a dry ball. So if that happens, not only is it embarrassing, but you have to take the gun apart to knock the nipple off to get the ball out of there so you can start over again. So I do this one cylinder at a time, and I pay attention. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load up these other 4 round balls with powder and wads, and then we'll go shoot. Okay, I've got the 6 round balls loaded up, so I want to take you through the capping process. Now today I'm using my snail capper, and it has RWS 1075 caps in, and this is really, really a simple process. The gun is still on half cock. You can see if you look into the chambers that all the round balls are in there and they're sent home. So now all we do is we have to put the caps on them to make them go bang. So the snail capper is really pretty simple. There's a little lever right there, and all you do is push that lever and shake, and I hope you can see that a little cap pops right down in that little hinge right there. And then what you do is you take it, you get it started in there, and you just twist. Then you shake it again, you get it on the cap, and you just pop it on like that. Much easier than doing it with your fingers, especially on a chilly day like it is today, where my fingers are a little cold, and I'll be fat fingering these things all over the place and dumping them on the ground. So I hope I'm keeping this under the camera. Get another one going. There's 5, and then there's 6. Now the last thing I do to make sure they're seated is I have a carpenter's pencil. You know, it doesn't have any points on it, obviously. It's got that oblong shape, which I like, that oval shape, and I just take it and gently give them a little push. Not banging on them, just giving them a little push to make sure they're seated, and every once in a while you can feel one sort of slip down a little further on the nipple. And once they're seated, because I have 6 loaded, I'm going to find the safety notch, which is between those 2 caps. You just pull back the trigger, pull back the hammer, find the safety notch between the cylinders, drop it down, hear a click, and now we are safe to carry. Now I will put a link in the program notes of this about a video I made a while back on carrying with either 6 loaded chambers using the cylinder the safety notches, or using 5 and putting your hammer down on an empty cap. There's different considerations for that, and I will put the link to that video if you choose to look at it. All right, so now we're loaded, we're hot. Let's go get set up. Okay, so I've put on my eye protection and my ear protection, which of course we all recommend. We're going to shoot at these steel targets down here with the Wild Bill Hickok Special. My Wild Bill Special, all loaded as we just did on video. Let's see if they go bang. Now what you saw there was a cap that blew off in recoil. And that's a cap that's supposed to fit, and that happens from time to time. What happened there when it just went click, even though it was loaded, is one of my percussion caps, even though I seated them, blew off in recoil. Now this happens from time to time. Don't freak out about it. It's okay. The one that can be a little dangerous is if you pull the trigger and the hammer goes down and the cap goes fizz, but nothing comes out the other end. That's when you want to make sure you hold that on that target for a good 30 seconds, because there might be a spark getting down there that'll give you a delayed hang fire. But when this sort of thing happens, don't get worried. You notice I just kept shooting my string, went and got another cap, and here we are. We're all loaded back up. It's right next to the hammer, so we're gonna shoot this last one and see what happens. And bang. All right, let's go load up some conical bullets and see how those do. So, another loading option for this are shooting just conical bullets with lubrication on them over powder. Now these are Colt Carriage Works conical bullets. I cast them at home myself with an Era's Gone bullet mold. These are authentic conical bullets that were used during the Civil War and found in battlefields. And the fellow that, Mark, that does that, Era's Gone, fantastic company. Check them out. I'll put the link below. Has done the archaeology and the measurements to make sure that we have an accurate weight and size portrayal of the conical bullet that was used in the Civil War. So what we're going to do is we take it and I lube the rings here, put a little lube on them. We're going to put these over powder without a wad, and then we're going to go shoot them and see how they go. So let's take a peek at how that works. Everything is the same till we get to what we're loading. So we put it on half cock. We get our powder. I'm putting it again over 20 grains of powder. So we pour our powder. Pour it into the cylinder. And now, when we seat these, I'm going to try to get this under the camera again. You see my powder's right in there. See, there's a little lip. There's a flat bottom on these, and then there's a little lip about 1/8 of an inch up. What we want to do is we want to seat these so that my fingers are cold, so that it seats on that little ring, and that pushes it down, and then we can rotate it under the rammer. We can get it leveled up, and then we just push it home. So let's do that one more time. Take our powder measure and our flask. We'll pour our 20 grains of powder in. Close the lid. Pop it down inside of that cylinder. Make sure it all gets in there. We'll take our conical. We'll seat it in the chamber mouth, the flat bottom, so that it goes up to the little ridge right there. I hope you can see. And once it's there, we bring it around, get it centered under the rammer, and we ram it home. And of course, that gives us a lead ring, just like the round balls do, which gives us a good seal. So I'm comfortable with that. Okay. So I'll go ahead and load this up. I'll cap it up because we've already seen that, and then we'll go see how they do. Okay, we're ready to take shots at these steel targets with our 6 conical bullets over powder. This time, because I lost the cap the last time, I brought my capper in case I need to replace the cap. So let's give it a go and see what happens. If you see that camera shaking a little bit, it's because it's windy here in Michigan today. All right, let's see. 2. I had a cap popping off. There, it's got it. I don't know why I always miss that target. A little capstock. Shoot right here. There. When are conical bullets best? If you're shooting a little longer range. So I would say anything over 50 yards and above, the conical bullet's going to be more aerodynamic, and it's probably going to give you better accuracy over the long haul. Up to 50 yards, all the tests I've seen in other channels and in other places suggest that the round ball's just as accurate as the conical bullet. So it really comes down to what you prefer, right? There are a lot of people who believe the conicals are more historically correct to sort of the Civil War period and beyond, and they probably are actually. Now we're going to go load some paper cartridges, which really was the prevalent way of carrying and loading cap and ball firearms from the beginning of the Civil War through sort of the end of the cap and ball period, which would be the middle to late 1870s. I know that the cartridge guns came out in the early 1870s, but in those days, just because they came out doesn't mean people could get them. So the cap and balls were used right along, but after the sort of the Civil War period, the prepackaged paper cartridges really did become the way that people mostly carried and loaded. So let's go look at them. We'll load them and see how they do. So I have these paper cartridges here. They are Colt Carriage Works conical bullet, like the ones we just fired, over the top of 17 grains of 3F shoots and powder in what amounts to a combustible cigarette rolling papers. I use the Guns of the West combustible paper cartridge kits. They're inexpensive. They work really well. I'll put the link in the notes, in the program notes below. So what do? This gets a little tedious to make these sometimes. So on bad weather days, in the winter, when I'm snowed off the range, I'll sit around watching a ball game or something, and I'll make paper cartridges so that I have them when it comes time to shoot. Now these were carried mostly in little wooden boxes of 6 that allowed for the carrying. Some of them allowed for a little place to carry 6 caps, and they were wrapped in what becomes an iconic wrapper that you've seen many times. I'll put a picture in this video of them in the wrapped boxes right now, and you'll see that that's how they were carried in little pouches on their belts called cartridge boxes. So loading these is really simple. We've got everything here we need. We've got lube over the top. We've got powder. We've got a ball. So what we do is we put our gun back on half cock, and we take this and we slide the cartridge down into the chamber as far as we can, down to about the top of that bullet. We roll it over underneath the loading lever. We get it centered underneath our loading lever, and we ram it home. And you'll end up with a little bit of leftover paper, lead ring, paper, lube that comes out that way. So there's one. So let's do another one. We take our paper cartridge. It's all in one, so we don't have to do it more than once. It's really easy to load. We slide it down into the chamber as best we can. Get it down there as far as we can. We rotate it under the loading lever. We drop the loading lever, make sure it's centered, and we push it home. Really simple. I might as well just load the other ones while we're here. Drop it down in there. Make sure it's down in there fairly tight so it'll get under the loading lever. Center it. Drop it down. Get our paper cartridge. Put it in the cylinder. I hope you can see that. I hope I'm staying in front of the camera. Load that down. Push it down with my fingernail. Bring it over. Center it. And push it home. And then one more. We have our cartridge. Get it down in the chamber. Push it down as far as we can. And load it in. All right, we've loaded up 5. Easy peasy, right? Okay. All right, so I'll get this capped up and we'll go shoot it up. All right, we're going to shoot our 5 paper cartridges that you just saw me load. Why do I only have 5 instead of 6? No good reason other than it's late in the season and I'm running out of paper cartridges. So those were the only 5 that I had. So we're going to do this. We're going to load with the hammer is now down on an empty chamber. So let's see if they'll go off. Oops. I did lose a cap. Again. I'm having a cap problem here, so we'll go back around and show you how we fix that. Okay, so we lost the cap, but here's what I do. I've brought my capper with me. I've located the loaded chamber. It's right there. I just take my capper out. Put another one on so you can see that I have another. I capped it up. Now we'll just bring it around, drop it on an empty cylinder right before it, and let's see if we can't hit that little steel target way up in the back there. A little more of a challenging shot. And I missed it. Well, it's not the paper cartridge's fault that I missed. It's not the gun's fault that I missed. I got a funny feeling it's my fault that I missed. Well, listen, that's shooting paper cartridges. You can see that we've gone over three different ways of three different types of ammo and loading for your cap and ball revolvers. So I hope this was instructive to you. I'll be back in a little bit here, and we'll sort of have a final discussion and see what we think of all this. Okay, Jay Stone back with our after-action discussion. But in this video, I wanted to make sure that we had there was one place where all of the issues and processes are involved in loading and firing a cap and ball revolvers. Because when I was new a few years ago, I found it hard to find information in one spot. You had to search around and go to different channels, and that's fine. I've learned an awful lot from these folks. But here, every once in a while, we're going to do one of these new shooter videos, and we're going to try if we can't get all the information together in one spot. But listen, if you have any comments, any feedback, if you have any questions, if you want to let me know how you do things, please put them in please send me those comments. I like answering comments. I like seeing what you think, good, bad, or indifferent. If you enjoyed this video at all today, if you learned anything today, if you think it's got any value at all, hit that thumbs up like button. Help us out here on the channel. Share our videos with your friends. Subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get a bigger community going. We're not doing badly, but give us a shot. We'll have another video coming real soon. So, Jay Stone again, thanks for showing up. I'll see you again down the road the next time.